Just not as cocky. Okay, amen. Certainly good to see Sister Gina and Brother Uriel. Amen, amen. Amen. Nephew Curtis, amen, amen. He's a football player. Amen, amen, amen. We thank God, amen, for our young people. Amen, amen. Amen. This morning, if I could, I want to draw attention, amen, to the 126th division of Psalms. Got it right this week, didn't I, Kiana? Amen, amen. Always remember there's no chapters in Psalms. Amen. There's only divisions. Amen. Now, if you hear a preacher say that, don't go, amen, don't mess them up. Mess her up.
That's right.
But again, today, if I could, I want to draw attention to the 126th division of Psalms. Amen. We're going to try to draw a little something. Amen. From that, amen. Give me about 8.5 minutes. I'd have used up a minute and a half. Amen. Ain't that right, Sister Monique? Amen. Monique said yes. She ain't say go ahead, preacher. She said, yep, you done used up a minute and a half. Amen. She said, you keep on talking, time is winding down and winding up. Amen. 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 But again, those of you that are standing, here's the reading of the word today. If I could, I want to read out of the NIV version. It's going to help me bring out my thought a little bit better than the King James version. Amen. Amen. Anytime you're reading out anything other than the King James, amen, you ought to let the people know what you're reading from. Amen. Amen. This is just a teachable moment this morning. Amen.
Amen.
But again, if you find Psalms 126, verse 1 says out of the NIV, when the Lord brought back the captives to Zion, we were like men who dreamed. 2 says, our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Somebody say joy.
Joy.
Then it was said, among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. Verse 3 said, the Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy. Somebody say joy.
Joy.
Restore our fortunes, O Lord, like the streams in the Negev. Those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. Somebody say joy.
Joy.
He who goes out weeping, carrying seed to sow, return with songs of joy. Somebody say joy.
Joy.
Carrying sheaves with him. He who goes out weeping, carries seed to sow, will return with songs of joy. This morning, if I could, I just need you all to help me preach now, Monique, for about 6.5 minutes. Amen. From the subject, give me back my joy. Amen. Thank you so much. Amen. Look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, give me back my joy. Oh, somebody should have got excited. If you don't have any joy in certain areas of your life, you should have just went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Amen. Give me back my joy. In August of 1998, there was a movie that came out that was very popular, especially amongst African Americans. This movie was actually based on a novel by a best-selling author by the name of Terry McMillan. When you begin to look at this movie was titled, and this movie was called Sister Connie How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And when you began to look at this show, it was a very popular, I said, in the summer of 1998. And when you began to look at this show, this movie, it was starring one of my favorite actresses, a woman by the name of Angela Bassett. She was playing a woman by the name of Stella Payne. And in this movie, she had a love interest by the name of Winston, who was a very handsome young man that was played by a man by the name of Taye Diggs. And Councilwoman Nicholas, when you begin to look at Stella, you have to understand the type of person that Stella was. Sister Jean, when you began to look at Stella, she was hardworking. She was a single mother just raising her son. She was hardworking. That's all she did was work. She was one person, Sister Valerie Rayleigh, that never really stopped to smell the roses. She was a person that was just gung-ho about work, just gung-ho about her career, gung-ho about moving forward, amen, in her life. And Sister Erica, what happened was she had some friends that she had went to college with, and they saw how hard she worked, and they saw that she never really took time out for herself. And so they encouraged her, Minister Cato, that let's get away, let's go do something, let's just enjoy life for a while, let's just go so you can let your hair down. And initially she was reluctant, Minister Jim, and she really didn't want to go, but with their urging, she decided, okay, I'll go with you all on a trip. And so they decided to go to Jamaica. And so when they get to Jamaica, she still was a little bit reluctant, but she was trying to enjoy herself. And Brother Greg, when she got there, not long after she was there, her and this young man, they laid eyes on one another. They had this attraction towards one another. It seemed like everywhere Stella went, this young man, Pia, seemed to pop up everywhere. If she would go here, it seems like Winston would pop up over here. If she go there, it seemed like Winston would pop up over there. And they began to have this mutual attraction for one another. But little Eric, there was only one problem. Winston was only half her age. I believe that when you began to look at Stella was cougaring before cougaring became popular. But Stella was around 40 years old, Sister Donna, and Winston was only 20. And I can still remember in the movie when she finally met Winston's parents, her mother was upset. Her mother even had the nerve to tell Stella, I can't believe that you were like a man this young. But even with all the naysaying and beside the age gap, they still found time to spend with one another. And really, Stella really didn't really see how much she really cared about him until it was time to go back to California. She began to see, Brother Walt, that she had serious affection for him. I believe that she had fell head over heels for this young man by the name of Winston. She fell in love with Winston. But she sat there trying to figure out, how can I balance my life, my career, and my life with my son, and this new love interest that I had. But you have to understand, when you begin to look at Stella, you have to understand that this young man, he was able to fill a void that she had not had in her life. Yeah, when you begin to look at Stella, yeah, she was working so hard, and also she was very unlucky in love. And this man filled a void that she did not have. And I know somebody might be saying, well, Reverend, what in the world does Stella have to do with this text? Somebody might be saying, what in the world does Stella have to do with joy? What does Stella have to do with give me back my joy? You have to understand, when you begin to look at Stella, the thing that was missing in her life, she didn't have love. And I don't know about anybody else, but one thing that I understand, when you have love, it has a way of giving you some joy. Yes, is there anybody here today, when you ever been in love, not just giving out love, but when you're able to receive love, it's a way that it gives you joy.
Yes, sir.
Alice, you have to understand, when you begin to look at Stella, Stella wasn't hurting for anything. When you begin to look at Stella, she was a high-powered broker. She was making crazy money. She was making anywhere from 6 to 7 figures a year. When you begin to look at Stella, she was living in San Francisco. Houses in San Francisco, they're more expensive than they are here. So she was probably living in a $500,000 to $1 million home.
Yes, sir.
She had her own money. She had big bank accounts. She had money. Those things she did not lack. She had all the creature comforts of life. She did not want anything from a materialistic standpoint. But all I'm trying to tell somebody here today, that you can have all the creature comforts in life, you can have all the materialistic things, but if you don't have joy, there's going to be still something missing in your life. Is there anybody here this morning that you ever experienced joy?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
I believe that's why Anita Baker sang a song that you bring me joy. But can I tell somebody here today, Sister Cindy, but I believe that we're living in a day and a time where there's a whole lot of people that are lacking joy. Yeah, there's a whole lot of people not only outside of the church, but also inside of the church that are lacking joy.
Yes, it is, Reverend.
Greg, we're living in a day and a time where folks are laughing on the outside, but they're crying on the inside. Yeah, Minister Harry, we're living in a day and a time where people have a smile on their face and they have a frown on their heart. And the reason being is because these people, they are lacking joy. Well, Reverend, what is joy? When you begin to look at the word joy, it comes from a Greek word called chara, C-H-A-R-A. And when you begin to look at that word joy, it means delight. It means gladness. It means to be glad, but it also means to have extended favor. And I don't know about anybody else, but if you ever have not had joy, or if joy has ever left you, there's nothing like when joy decides to come back in your life. Is there anybody here today that have ever experienced the joy of the Lord? I believe that's why Nehemiah says in Nehemiah 8 and 10 that the joy of the Lord is my strength. You have to understand that God can give you that unspeakable joy.
Yes, sir. Nothing like it.
The joy of this world. Yeah, that's why I believe somebody said a long time ago, this joy that I have, the world didn't give to me, and the world can't take it away.